Hey guys, it's Rob here and welcome back to another video. In this video, we are going to talk about a new rumor for the Nintendo Switch 2. It has some pretty fantastic implications for a lot of the games that don't directly come from Nintendo, but also come from like third-party games, like games that you want that don't come from Nintendo. If you want them on the Nintendo Switch 2, you're going to be very happy. And funny enough, this has already been happening on Twitter. If you guys have come across a certain remaster, it's already happening. Now, we will also add some release speculation based off of the Pokemon Giga Leaks that we discussed in the other video for those who haven't seen that video. But first, let's get to the main information. This is what My Nintendo News has to say. The Switch 2 rumor mill continues to churn with no signs of slowing down. Nintendo has previously stated in May that a proper announcement of the console will be happening before the end of this fiscal year coming March. It is now October and the fiscal year will be ending in just 5 months, so all there is to go on is rumors. Now, the interesting thing about this March date is that according to the Pokemon Game Freak Giga Leak, there is some interesting things when it comes to the release date of Pokemon ZA, and that being that it was originally planned for 2024. Now, we know that the Nintendo Switch 2 was delayed until 2025. We know it was supposed to release, or potentially anyways, that was part of a potential Nintendo Switch leak, according to PH Brazil if I remember correctly, but now according to the Pokemon Game Freak Giga Leak, they say it's gonna be between April and July of 2025. It's almost as if, because of the Nintendo Switch 2 being delayed until 2025, Pokemon and Game Freak also wanted to line up with the release date of the Nintendo Switch 2. Because what's after July? There's June. Nintendo could easily have the Nintendo Switch 2 release alongside Pokemon Legends ZA or somewhere around that, have that be one of the shiny new rocks along with the Nintendo Switch 2, and then have a huge Nintendo Direct in June for holiday season to have massive sales during that time. You'll have a whole bunch of new games, third-party games, which again, we're going to be talking about that very soon, and overall just have a very successful launch for the Nintendo Switch 2 and set yourself up for the future as long as they keep those games coming. So that release could be sometime between April and July, and the release could be in March, which is again what we covered in the last video. That is of course speculation on my part, but it does make a lot of sense to me when it comes to the reveal because we just haven't gotten it yet. But anyways, continuing. For example, PH Brazil is now saying that Nintendo is allegedly courting some third-party developers to release some remasters on Nintendo's hybrid system while Nintendo themselves remain busy with the Nintendo Switch 2. PH Brazil notes that games that are not planned for being remastered on the Switch include Splinter Cell Blacklist, Driver 1 and 2, Rayman 3, and also mentioned, though PH Brazil mentions they're not sure if this is related to today's Rayman rumors. Not everything is specifically named, however, Ubisoft has 2 more games that were named that they plan to remaster for the Switch. EA has some Wii games coming, meanwhile Bandai Namco has something in the works as well, though it is only mentioned that they have a PS3 game being remastered. They apparently have something else, but it is unknown what exactly it is. So if you guys haven't heard this yet, this is what My Nintendo News has to say originally when it comes to the Rayman stuff that's recently happening. Insider Gaming is following up on its report yesterday that Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown team has been disbanded due to its acclaimed game receiving unimpressive sales, according to Ubisoft. Now, the site is reporting that members of the team are now working on a Rayman remake with Michael Ansel in place of the consultant for the project. Ansel was accused of toxic leadership by the French news outlet in 2020. The Rayman remake is codenamed internally as Ubisoft as a Project Steambot, or as Project Steambot, I should say. Now, we really didn't have to wait too long for this to be confirmed. This is what the new update says according to My Nintendo News. By now, you've probably heard the news from Inside Gaming that Ubisoft is allegedly working on a new Rayman game. The game is apparently a remake that is in early development, and it's going to be codenamed, it's going by codename Project Steamboat. It is also apparently where the Prince of Persia and the Lost Crown team has been moved to after Ubisoft closed the studio down. So when you pair this with the new rumor of the Nintendo Switch 2 and third-party developers wanting to release things on the Nintendo Switch 2 and Nintendo asking them to do that, more than likely this is probably one of those games. Again, if this is true, take this with a grain of salt, because it always could be fake, but if this is one of those games, it makes a lot of sense. If I recall, there was also going to be other Assassin's Creed games hitting the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. I think it was Assassin's Creed Valhalla and another Assassin's Creed game. I can't remember which one. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Now, if this is true, I think this is fantastic because one of the strong things about the Nintendo Switch 2, aside from the Nintendo games, is just how many games keep coming to the platform. And I think Nintendo knows that too, and that's why they want to make sure they have games in between the Nintendo games for the Nintendo Switch 2. That's why I'm hoping the power is going to be there. there. And I think this Rayman remake is more than likely going to hit the Nintendo Switch too, because you have to wonder what all of these companies are thinking now that the success of the Nintendo Switch is out, right? Remember, at the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, a lot of companies were hesitant to put their games on the platform. I really absolutely was probably not, I don't want to say shocked, but I was kind of surprised at the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2 and how there were people who said it was going to fail. I mean, it's a portable console. Again, this was before the Steam Deck, remember. Now, we do have a little bit more information from PH Brazil over on Gaming Leaks and Reddit, and this is what Gaming Leaks and Reddit has to say about that. Brazil reiterates what he previously said about remasters for a GameCube game and a 3DS game, though he didn't say which games, but he also mentioned some third-party games that'll get remasters on Switch 1 in 2025 as part of the initiative from Nintendo to court third parties and help compensate for Nintendo's own internal teams being too busy with Switch 2. These games include, and then he mentions the games that we mentioned before, like Splinter Cell Blacklist, Rayman, which is not connected to the rumored Rayman remake, by the way, according to this post. So apparently Ubisoft is doing Rayman 3 and another Rayman game, so 2 Rayman games, which is just fantastic. I mean, we haven't seen Rayman too much aside from the animation anyways, but that's a whole nother thing, if you guys know what I mean. Driver 1 and 2, potentially Driver SF down the line, 2 more unnamed titles under consideration, additional Wii game from EA, Bandai Namco has multiple projects. PS3 wasn't mentioned, so when we were talking about the PS3 game, that was speculation apparently, according to the Reddit post. And a big Western third-party publisher, which is very interesting, and I really wonder what exactly that is. What is going to be the big Western third-party publisher? I think that's going to be one of those games where you look at it and say, no way that's running on a handheld system, right? Or at least on a Nintendo handheld system, because there is a certain view of Nintendo's handheld systems. When you talk to people about Nintendo, usually they think it's a weak system, which, I mean, let's be honest, the Nintendo Switch is a weak system. It has fantastic games, and they were really supporting the players with a ton of different variety of games, but the system itself is weak. So when you see a game run on the Switch, like Doom or The Witcher, you really are amazed at just the amount of skill and development time they had to put in to get it to run on that system, albeit at a lower frame rate and resolution, of course. But it is pretty amazing. So when you see these games come to the Nintendo platform, especially with all the other great games that already exist, especially if backwards compatibility happens, because it really does sound like that's going to be it. It seems like Nintendo wants to, according to these leaks anyways, they could end up being fake, but so many of these leaks are pointing towards backwards compatibility for the Switch too, with the Switch 1, or vice versa, I mean. You have to think backwards compatibility is going to be a thing. But yeah, the main focus of this new edition that I didn't come across until today, because I'm finishing up the video today and releasing it the next day, is the GameCube and 3DS games. What GameCube and 3DS games are they going to choose? And another question, what do they mean by GameCube remasters? Because we know that Nintendo likes to play the word remaster very loosely, because sometimes they full on do a huge makeover on their games. So it's going to be interesting to see. Remember, there is still Metroid Prime 2 and 3 that could still hit the Nintendo Switch as well. And then the 3DS games, I mean, one game that I always say would be fantastic is Kid Icarus Uprising. I know they said they'd had some challenges, but hopefully they can get through those challenges with the controls, and then they could bring it to the Nintendo Switch. That would be really fantastic in my personal opinion. I think the overall takeaway of this, though, is that Nintendo wants to make sure we have a ton of games to look forward to, even if they're not from their Nintendo studios. I don't know why I call them Nintendo Studios, but you guys know what I mean, like the Mario, Zelda, and all those fantastic games from the Nintendo IPs. I mean, that's what they were doing with the Nintendo Switch 1. That's why, or at least one of the reasons why it was doing so fantastic, is because we always had some game to look forward to, whether it be from like Square Enix or Ubisoft, because Ubisoft has put out some pretty fantastic games on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, Mario Rabbids is a fantastic series. Prince of Persia, according to people who played it, I only played a little bit. It was part of the demo, I think, and then games came out and I ended up skipping over it, so eventually I will get to it, but that game was good, the Prince of Persia game. Unfortunately, it didn't do as well as Ubisoft wanted, and they closed down the studio, but good thing is that the people who work there are still working. They're just working on a different project. Hopefully no one got absolutely fired and doesn't have a job right now, because I know how that feels. It's very stressful. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Man, that was a downer. We're ending on a downer right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.